This episode of Another Great Day is brought to you by Christ. He is risen.
He is risen indeed.
It's Friday, April 7th, 2023. I'm Aaron, and this is Chris.
Hello.
Hey, not to be confused with our Lord and Savior. Happy Easter, Chris.
Fun fact about my name, it's actually Christopher, and that means Christ bearer.
Ooh, that is
I bear
man.
Christ in me.
That's a really cool. I did not know that's what your name actually meant, but that makes a lot of sense. Well, I said Happy Easter, but it's actually Friday, which means it's Good Friday, and it's a great day for us in the Christian world to celebrate the upcoming the day we recognize the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So I'm super excited to be here, and I'm happy to encourage everybody to have a Good Friday with us as we go through our podcast here on Another Great Day. The podcast designed to encourage interaction, creativity, and conversation. And I have to give a shout out to our listeners. I'm super encouraged from the amount of responses that we've received through our Instagram page. We have had a lot of people responding to our best segment ever with their ideas and their answers. So every day I try to go onto our Instagram page and create a little question and answer of what is your favorite sport to watch live? What's the best way to prepare a hot dog? And people are actually answering, and it's really fun to see their answers. So maybe we'll read some of those on the show next week.
Are you saying that somebody out there had a conversation and maybe it was creative, and then they interacted with you on the Instagram?
Whoa!
Is that happening out there in the world?
Coming in hot. Chris Taylor.
We're doing it.
We're doing it, Peter. We're doing it. Do you hear that sound? Oh yeah, that epic rock and roll jam right there. That means it's time for the best segment ever. And today's topic, the best segment ever, is
the best kids book.
all right, what's the best kids book? I'm going to have to say Hank the Cowdog, and not the one that Matthew McConaughey reads, even though I think that's really cool. But Hank the Cowdog, probably the first book that actually, as a youngster, encouraged me to read. So, Chris, what would you say?
Well, Aaron, I'd say my favorite book is the coloring book for Frozen 2.
Oh, why do you think that, Chris?
Well, mainly because, coloring's fun and it's easy and, you can just turn your brain off and have a cup of coffee and color some pages.
Well, I think that's a great answer. And if you guys have a best topic you'd like to discuss, let us know on our Instagram page, Another Great Day Podcast.
Aaron, thank you for responding for me. I had to walk away for a minute, but you helped me out there in my absence. My real answer would be, I think, The Phantom Toll Booth by Norton Juster. It's a kid's book with a bunch of puns. It's like a dad jokes galore. It's written in the 50s or 60s or something. And it's an adventure into a wonderful land, and a boy learns a whole bunch of morals and lessons. It's wonderful.
All right, that'll bring us to this day in history. On this day in 1970, the legendary actor John Wayne wins his first and only acting award for his star in True Grit. That's right, Henry Hathaway's Western True Grit. Well, that'll do it for this day in history. This next segment's called The Question of the Day. And if you're new to this, you know what we're going to do. We're going to ask you a question. We're going to encourage you to discuss it. We'll give you some time, and then we'll be back. Today's question of the day is, it's more of a scenario, actually. Chris, I want you to put your creative thinking cap on. Ready? Imagine you're in the Old West. Tumbleweeds are blowing by, old saloon doors, or there's sheriffs across the street, and you're a lawman. You have to go on an adventure. If you could only take 3 things on your adventure, what would you take and why? We'll be right back. Well, Chris, I'm curious. If you were a lawman, maybe you're a bounty hunter, maybe you're a sheriff, maybe you're a deputy. You can only take 3 things on your adventure. What are you going to take and why?
First, water, like a canteen or a pack of some sort.
Ding.
Gotta have water.
That's the good idea sound.
Survey says.
Ding.
But now I'm trying to think. If my objective to apprehend a suspect or just explore or save somebody from some kind of peril, I'm going to say there is
Gotta be prepared.
potentially a gold mine out there, but people are going to go. There's a river they've seen some gold at. So I'm going to say on this trip, I'm not expecting any trouble per se in the Old West.
All right.
So I'm going to take water. And then a picture of my dear wife, Shanzy.
Ah, yes.
In my pocket.
Old Shanzy McGillicuddy.
Because if I get stuck out there for days, I just want to remember her fondly in my heart.
Is it going to be a picture of her inside of like a pocket watch or something?
A locket,
something epic?
A locket that's going to kind of like, it was her locket. But when she got sick that one time, she gave it to me and said, remember. And then she got better.
Oh, thank
goodness.
So
now I still have it. And I just,
thank you, Lord.
It's precious to me.
We've been praying for Shanzy. Hashtag pray for Shanzy.
And the last thing is,
so we got water, Shanzy locket, and what's the third thing?
I don't know why, and this isn't helpful. A rake.
Oh, very practical.
To drag on the dirt. Also, and if there was a threat of some sort, I could use the pointy part of the rake, to like get a little animal or get a snake away from me,
Or if you met a cyborg witch, witches ride brooms, but cyborg witches probably ride rakes, is what I'm thinking. You could help a cyborg witch out.
Yes.
So both practical and thoughtful. Good job, Chris.
What would you take on your 3 supply adventure?
Well, this is easy. Obviously, I'm going to take a canteen full of water. That's step 1. Step 2, I'm going to bring a shotgun because you just never know. You can't trust people out there in the wild, wild west. And the third thing is a bowl of spaghetti in case I get hungry. Because spaghetti's good cold or hot. So those are the 3 things I'd take with me.
Cold or hot?
Yeah. All right, great discussion, Chris. It's time for a dad joke. And since Wes is still orbiting I'm just getting hold on. No, actually, Wes is back in North Texas. It looks like he just crossed the Red River. No clue what he was doing up there. Probably something with them Sooners. Anyways, looks like he'll be back anytime now. Maybe we can get him back on Monday. Let's go ahead and hit it with the dad joke, Chris.
I called up the hotel, and the receptionist answered, "Hello, Best Western." I replied, "True Grit, starring John Wayne."
We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to another great day. I'm Aaron, and that's Chris, both the host and the sponsor of this show, and we're glad you're here. This part of our show is called The Word of Wisdom, and today's Word of Wisdom is actually brought to us
from Sean Kelly.
Hey, another great day, listeners. My name is Sean Kelly, and I'm the family ministry leader here at the Well Church in Moore, Oklahoma. Basically, I get to teach parents and kids about who Jesus is and what he's done for us as my full-time job, which is pretty awesome. I'm also husband to my wife, Riley, father to our 3 kids, Quinn, Archer, and Callum, and get ready for this, because it's gonna blow your mind. I'm also your co-host, Chris's brother-in-law. Ho-ho! Yep, he married my sister. Thanks a lot, Chris. No, seriously, thank you a lot. I, really enjoy having you in my family. And, listeners, if my voice seems familiar, you may know me from another great podcast for kids, God's Big Story by the Village Church Resources. If you've never heard it before, check it out. Well, today on this podcast, I have the privilege of sharing a word of wisdom from the Bible, which I believe comes from God, the God who made everything and who wants to talk with you. How cool is that? So let's get started by reading Proverbs 21:10 from the Bible. Here is what it says. The soul of the wicked desires evil. His neighbor finds no mercy in his eyes. Well, ouch. Well, that also had some big words in it. Let's read that again. Okay. The soul of the wicked desires evil. His neighbor finds no mercy in his eyes. Okay, now let's break it down and see what God's saying. Help us out, God. In the book of Proverbs, Solomon, its writer, talks about two kinds of people a lot: the righteous and the wicked, to help us understand two ways of living. The righteous person, you see, knows God and trusts God. Solomon says he or she loves God too and can therefore show God's love and mercy to others. Then there's the wicked person who has maybe heard of God, maybe hasn't, but definitely doesn't love him or trust him at all. You know who they love and trust most? Themselves, which honestly I think we can all relate to. So because of that, they can't really love other people or show them mercy. That's what Solomon means in the second part of this verse when he says, his neighbor finds no mercy in his eyes. Not that the wicked person is lacking mercy in their eyes, but that they don't have mercy in their heart. And the principle here is that it's not good for us to always want other people to receive the punishment that they deserve. And while that can seem backwards at times, because some consequences are good, right? That's surely not what we want when we're in trouble. We don't always want the punishments we deserve, and thankfully, that's not what God gives us. So think about this. We're all born with hearts that are selfish, aren't we? We all want to be in charge of our own lives and decisions, and we don't always want to love or obey God or our parents, which isn't good. So we all deserve to be separated from God forever, which is terrible. But instead of giving us that punishment that we deserve, God shows us awesome and amazing mercy by sending his son Jesus to become a human and live a perfect life. And when Jesus died on the cross, he took our punishment from us, which was really kind, and he came back to life so that everyone who believes in him can be with God forever and receive new, working hearts that can actually love God and other people too. Hearts that are even eager to show others mercy with the mercy they've received. So, kids and listeners, don't walk in the way of the wicked, desiring evil or holding back mercy. Walk like Jesus, the righteous one, who didn't give you the punishment you deserved, and start showing that same mercy to others out of your love and thankfulness to him. God says that is good, and I think your neighbor will really appreciate it. Well, that's it for today's Word of Wisdom. I'm Sean Kelly, and you know what? This really has been another great day.
Well, thanks, Sean. And for you listening, why not take a minute and discuss this very proverb with those around you? We'll give you a few minutes and be right back. All right, well, that'll wrap things up for the week. Chris, let's hit the music and call it a day. I'd like to give a big shout out to my co-host, Chris, for all the audio production and excellent co-hosting, as well as our guest Word of Wisdom contributor, Sean Kelly. Well, we hope you guys had a great time with us this week. We'd like to thank you all for listening and sharing this show with your friends, neighbors, and anybody else you run into. Our mission here at Another Great Day is to encourage interaction, creativity, and conversation.
So even though today's show may have come to an end, that does not mean your discussions have to come to an end.
Well, no matter what you discuss, we thank you for listening, and we hope you make it another
Great
day. Go see the Mario movie. See you next week.
You should be paid.
This episode of Another Great Day is sponsored by Illumination and Nintendo's The Super Mario Brothers movie. Coming soon to a theater near you. Let's go. Not really. Also, we're sponsored by Reese's. So snap into a slim Reese's cup.
You went for that. That was so great. You did it.
Pew, pew.
Reese's.
We are professionals.
Snap into us, Reese's.
You know what they say?
Oh.
It's not a Reese's if we're not sharing it together.
If you're not snapping into it.
Reese's, it's what's for dinner. And okay, Chris, so you asked the question, so I'll answer first. I think that's fair. The first thing that pops into my head is a book we've actually already talked about on this show. So I'm going to keep it short. I do feel like I have to say the Bible as a Christian. It feels like cheating not to say the Bible because it's only transformed like a bazillion lives. But in close second, I'm going to throw this out there. Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four run. Yes, it's technically a comic book, but it is a great story of the Fantastic Four, which is a family, and it's about the dad trying to solve the problem of everything. He's trying to create an equation that solves every problem on the earth. He meets a bunch of multiversal versions of himself, and he has to make the decision to either stay with his family and not solve the problem or sit with the council of Reeds, his name's Reed Richards, and solve all the problems. And he chooses his family, and it's super inspiring to me as a dad.
Wow.
So that's my favorite book.
Comic books can be inspiring and slightly serious.
Isn't that shocking?
I thought the word comic meant comedy.
Yeah, sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. The Thing's in it. He's pretty funny.
I'm not sure what the best book is. There's lots of great books out there. I love books. I love books.
So many leather-bound books.
As Skeletor says, books are the real treasure.
Thanks, Skeletor.
My favorite book has been for a couple of years, several years, is another. It's kind of a comic book.
Okay.
It's confusing.
I'm listening.
It is Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud.
Yes. I have that book too.
It is, I don't know why. I mean, I know why. I love it. It is basically a textbook on how to understand and look at the medium of sequential art, which is what comics is normally categorized as.
It's amazing.
Art in sequence. And I do this for a living. Video production is sequential art at a much different scale.
It's art that comes one frame after another and tells a story in a certain order.
That's right.
Chronologically or not.
So even if it's just two pictures, at the beginning of his book, he has a picture of an eye open and an eye closed. And between those two images, your brain did the work to make the eye close.
See, and that's why comics are so cool, because you have to both write the story and then you have to draw the story.
And this book just exposed all of these things that are happening in our brain when we're intaking information. And I love it. It just made my brain light up like fireworks.
Oh, that's great. Fireworks brain.
Yes, that's why I love this book.
All right, so quick rapid fire, non-comic book favorite book. Mine is Animal Farm by George Orwell.
Ooh, Animal Farm.
Love it. I think I could read it every 3 months. It's super short. We drove to Austin and back, and I listened to it on Spotify. Shout out Spotify. There and back.
I don't know. It's really tough for me to pinpoint books. Recently,
That's okay.
We read through the first 4 Little House on the Prairie books, which were really great.
Classic.
Very, regular storybook about people's lives. It's mostly accurate besides some storytelling liberation. But
the story from the first Little House on the Prairie where Paws riding the horse back from the wolf pack that's chasing him was so good. And it's only like each chapter is only like 5 pages long. So shout out Laura Ingalls Wilder.
That's true. Another book that I really, really, really enjoy, and this is going to sound super nerdy, but I have
listen up, kids.
That's right. You ready for this? It's a primary source textbook I got in college about history because it's people who wrote things down from a long time ago and it's their own words.
So primary source means it's from the person who wrote it. Like you are taking a bunch of people's journals all across history and putting them in one giant book and then reading them.
Yeah, it's like a ship captain had a diary or a ship captain's log, and you get to read it.
So if I told the story of what I did tonight, that's me. That's primary. If I tell the story of what you did tonight, that's secondary.
Yeah, you don't really know my personal story.
Interesting.
If I write it down, I just have a book of that. Another one that's in the same exact vein is Studs Terkel, The Good War. He's written several books where he just listens to people and writes down their words. And it's wonderful hearing people's stories.
I love that.
Having conversations.
Interacting. You better believe it. Well, if you have a best thing topic, you know where to find us on Instagram. Hit us up. Let us know what you want us to talk about, and we'll bring it into the mix. Okay, let's see. Kids book. Man, tempted to say Fox and Socks because of that epic rap from yesterday from DJ Nacho Macho. No relation. I'm going to say the greatest kids book is Bone, which is a comic book. The Bone series.
It is the greatest book.
It's wonderful. So, boom. This episode of Another Great Day is brought to you by Chris Taylor.
Oh.
Go ahead, Chris.
Because there was no other name.
And there it is. It's Friday, April 7th, 2023. I'm Aaron, and this is my wonderful co-host, Chris. What's up, Chris?
I am the sponsor today. I feel honored, honestly.
Well, I appreciate
take this moment and make a short speech.
Speech. Is there anyone you'd like to thank as sponsor and co-host?
I already finished my speech.
Oh, sorry. I blinked. I must have missed it.
I said I'm going to make a short speech. And I said, The shortest speech I think I could
The dad
make.
joke section isn't for like 3 more segments, Chris. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that intro. Thank you for being the co-host and the sponsor. We'd like to welcome.
I called up a hotel.
Wait. You got to do this in John Wayne voice as best you can.
I don't know how John Wayne sounds.
Well, I called up a hotel and the receptionist answered. Hello, Best Western, I replied. True Grit, starring John Wayne. I ruined the joke.
Yeah, I saw it was like the John Wayne part kind of, but it was somewhere between John Wayne and Forrest Gump. So
and Mama always said life would be a box. All right,
like,
just do a Western voice. How about that? That's
like
easy.
80% John Wayne, 20% Forrest. All right.
The end.
And that'll bring us to this day in history.